Good day, I'm Michael Bednar, and this is a background video on the HHS budget for fiscal year 2022, as presented to Ways and Means and Finance, both in June of 2021. So far, the administration has not yet addressed changes to the Affordable Care Act, at least not publicly. We suggest that the committee ask the Secretary about any such plans. At a minimum, the individual and employer mandates with associated penalties that were repealed must be restored. The President campaigned on restoring and perfecting the Act, adding a public option. We agree, although the public option need not be self-supporting. It must be subsidized through a broad range consumption tax. Such a tax burdens both capital and wage income. The current funding stream seems to have been designed to draw opposition from wealthier taxpayers. It is an open secret that the minority did not oppose most of the Affordable Care Act, which is by the Heritage Foundation as an alternative to Mrs. Clinton's proposal. Broaden the tax base to fund the program, and the nonsense on repeal will end. The current funding stream from student loan initiation and interest, which was included in the baseline, should be ended. Graduates and non-graduates with student debt cannot afford both their loan payments and insurance payments under the Affordable Care Act. When they apply for lower loan payments, which are always granted, they face either a balloon interest payment or capitalized interest, which makes their funding situation worse. No one should have to retire with student debt, yet quite a few soon will or already have. Forgive capitalized interest and apply any overpayments to principal. There should not be a one-size-fits-all subsidy. When payments are deferred, return to the practice of deferring interest or allow debts to be discharged, at least partially, in bankruptcy. The following analysis comes from the single payer attachment that had been previously provided. Because of the President's preference for establishing the public option, we will repeat those analyses here. Aside from a broader base of funding, other compromises are necessary to enact a public option. To set up a public option and end protections for pre-existing conditions, protections and mandates. The public option would then cover all families who are rejected from either pre-existing conditions or the inability to pay. In essence, this is an expansion of Medicaid to everyone with a pre-existing condition. As such, it would be funded through increased taxation, which will be addressed below. A variation is the expansion of the uniformed public health service to treat such individuals and their families. The public option is inherently unstable over the long term. The profit motive will ultimately make the exclusion pool grow until private insurance would no longer be justified, leading again to single payer if the race to cut customers leads to no one left in private insurance who is actually sick. This eventually becomes Medicaid for all, but with easier passage and sudden adoption as private health plans are either banned or become bankrupt. Single payer would then be what occurs when insurance companies are bailed out in bankruptcy. The public option covers everyone, and insurance companies are limited to administering the government program on a state-by-state basis. The financing of the Affordable Care Act should be broadened. It should neither be funded by the wealthy or by loan-sharking student loan debtors. Instead, it should be funded by an employer-paid consumption tax with partial offsets to tax payments for employers for employer-provided insurance and taxes actually collecting a public option, which would also replace Medicaid for non-retirees. Medicaid for retirees and Medicare should be funded by a border-adjustable goods and services tax, which should be broad-based. Why the difference? The goal is not a public option. The goal is to not need a public option as employers do the right thing and cover every worker or potential worker. Using an employer-based tax is the incentive to maximize employee coverage. Medicare, however, is an obligation on society as a whole. Our comments on Social Security, administrative, and capital costs originated in our testimony to the Appropriations Committee, and I have not put those into the current work, so I will omit this part. Let's see, omit this. State governments are under financial pressure as a result of the pandemic, especially in the area of healthcare costs, most especially for seniors in nursing homes who are dual eligibles. The heart of President Reagan's new federalism proposal was the transfer of state Medicaid expenses to the federal government, largely to fund baby boomers who would become dual eligible with time. Time is now up, or will be shortly. Welfare has been reformed, allowing state and federal governments to save money, which was part of the new federalism bargain that was not accepted at the time. We will address this part shortly, but the irony is that the federal money was reduced without the second part of the trade-off. Finish the process and create Medicare Part E for low-income, disabled, and retirees. This will put an investigation of nursing home conditions in the federal sector. States have done a poor job in enforcement of health and safety standards. It is time to make this a national responsibility. One way to increase benefits generally is to increase the minimum wage. The higher the better, and rebase current benefits to consider such a program increase to be wage inflation. Such a change will fund itself because wages funding benefits will be increased across the board. For long-term balance, any cut should be avoided, and this is where I've omitted the rest of it on debt reduction and the need to fully fund Social Security, which I have covered in other places. This is the end of the attachment. Thank you very much.